Greetings, greetings. This is Body-Culinary sending you all some warm and positive vibrations. It's a little chilly out in the garden today in the south. Things are coming along, but as always, there's more work to do. Just wanted to come on today, this early day, and just share with you about hair washing and um, maybe perhaps looking at it as a form of therapy. Before I forget, you're welcome to, if you like, to subscribe to the channel. Um, if you find any value, what I share on this channel is information on cultivating a personal movement practice, consuming a lifestyle centered around whole, living, fresh, unprocessed foods. You can put whatever label you like or no label. Cultivating your personal movement practice, motivation and inspiration to start a garden, as well as share my journey, my continued journey of what I call radical self-acceptance. Um, and in particular, as it relates to my fine afro textured hair, and as a person that has had a tremendous amount of acne. I put some awesome stuff in there, also some content around my travels in Central America. So if you're interested in any of that content, you're welcome to subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who may benefit. So that being said, I'm an early riser, so usually my mind is extremely clear during the morning, and so much that I'd love to share is just pouring out at this time. So this morning, as I'm moving around in the garden, I was just thinking about ways that I take care of myself, self-care practices. Some people may call them rituals, but they're habits that I have that make me feel good. I have found that feeling good is very, very important, and there are some things that we can do to make ourselves feel better. And you're welcome. I'd love to hear from you what kinds of things you do to shift your mood and make yourself feel better. Things that are totally up to you that you can do on a regular basis to support yourself. And before I forget, my hair is damp because, and that's what I'm talking about today. It's actually one of the things that makes me feel really good. So it's damp. So I know if I wash it in the early day, it will be dry, right? And one of the benefits also of not having any products in my hair, although it is extremely fine, it will feel nice and light and fluffy. I like that. So in terms of cleansing the hair and scalp, now I've had a return to natural because we're born natural ever since leaving high school, and I never looked back because I'm very clear on the torture that I went through, the physical torture of burned ears, scalp burns from chemicals, and just having to keep up something that wasn't me. Again, I do want to note your journey is your own personal journey. If you find something here that resonates with you, fine. Anything else, feel free to just leave it. Take what resonates and leave the rest. So I found that consistently, in addition to my movement practice, which is my number one therapy, another therapy is actually cleaning and making my house, beautifying my home, as well as water, soaking in the tub or taking showers. It's extremely therapeutic. I find it extremely therapeutic. If I was going through something, I could easily take 3 showers if that's what I needed to do. So you already paid for your mortgage or your rent. Might as well make use of your sanctuary. But I've found just the water and the different water temperatures are so soothing. And although initially, as a loose hair natural and somebody with very fine, delicate hair, we're raised with greasing our scalps, and then as we learn more, oiling our scalps. If you have very fine hair and your hair is it's not very dense, we know when it's loose, it can get very, very dried out. So I use a lot of oil and shea butter. So I found what's very freeing, has been extremely freeing, is to have some years ago thrown away my shower caddy, right? So I'm not someone, I love grooming, but I'm not someone that wants to be a slave to stuff, to more things, more products, like psychologically, all these different things that I have to do to present for other people. Now, the balances of that is there are times where I definitely want to play and to be expressive. So the way that we dress and wear our hair, I think it's a form of personal art in a personal form of expression. So you'll have to find whatever that balance is for you, what feels good. The check-in for me has been over time is if I don't feel confident, or if I feel saddened, or if I feel any kind of way, if I take the play stuff off, if I can't sit with myself, if I feel like I'm masking myself. So for myself, again, you'll have to find what that looks like for you. I make the distinction between I have to wear a mask because I don't feel confident, or I'm being playful and I'm being expressive. So with all that oiling of the scalp, it felt great as a loose natural. But with loose hair, I found that as someone that's had a lot of acne, all that oil running to your face if you're sweating or if you live in a warm environment can contribute to oil trickling down on your face. And if you're already very acne prone, that can contribute to a lot of acne. I prefer an active lifestyle. So I prefer not to have anything on my skin because it just feels very good for my skin, especially my face, to breathe, right? And I don't like the idea of when you're sweating of chocolate face print being all over everything. But I've also found that my scalp feels fantastic, and just intuitively I feel like my hair is flourishing from it not being clogged. So the massaging of my scalp is so therapeutic. Warm, hot and warm, and then sometimes cool water is extremely therapeutic. It shifts my mood. It feels like a way that I'm caring for myself in a very tangible way. But I found also my scalp feels just free. Like I never had a big issue with dandruff, but more than ever, my scalp feels so clean with no products, and it doesn't feel dry or parched. It just kind of feels balanced and normalized, if that makes sense. So that has required a retraining, as I've said before, retraining of my eye, right? And just reframing my narrative, right? I have this big thing about reframing my narrative in a way that we determine and that works for us. So we're raised with all these commercials and even from old wives' tales to think that our hair is dry. But dry doesn't necessarily mean brittle and parched. So as I'm sitting here, my hair is shrinking and it's drying, but it's a softness. And quite often, will I hear as we watch other YouTubers and we have our own experiences with different types of conditioners, to whatever degree the quality natural or somewhat natural, that we're looking for a softness. But I found that the hair on its own, when it's very normalized, feels soft already. And just not putting other things on it, initially washing and then coating my hair as a loose natural with the shea butter, especially if you have not dense and very light, delicate hair that can break very easily, it feels like it gives it a soft coating. But usually after a while, with it attracting all the dirt to it in the oil, dust from the garden or exercising, it eventually feels heavy. And then if you use, for example, coconut oil, and you're in a setting that's can get kind of cold or has air conditioning, the coconut oil can harden in the hair. Now, I love the smell of coconut oil, but I have to admit, I did have some snafus with oil, and I've only ever put natural things in my hair. Well, way back as a loose natural, I did have a spell with black styling gel. But only having oils in my hair, I found that eventually one day my hair felt very plasticky. And that was like, I'm a person that doesn't like to feel claustrophobic or hemmed in by a whole bunch of clothes and hats and sunglasses. So to feel like my hair was coated with plastic, that was no bueno. That was really like a turn off for me. So now I don't put, I've done experiments, but I no longer use oil in my hair. Maybe one day I will, but right now it just feels so good to have my hair light and fluffy on my neck and not feel like there's oil and dirt. The least amount of dirt is attracted to it, right? So things that make me feel very calm and soothing is washing the hair. So if you're washing your hair often, and that may be a question that many of us have if we have fine hair, if you're endeavoring to semi-freeform, which my hair is now, I couldn't tell you the last time that I twisted my hair. And because it's so fine, as I've mentioned in some other videos, and I'm allowing them to combine now, they grow in flat. So I'm in full acceptance. I don't have any problem now that it's got a little length. You can see that it's more flat. All of them are growing in flat. That's just how fine my hair is. But as I've also said, the fluffiness, especially right after you wash it, that little afro, helps over those of us with fine hair not to look so scalpy, where you can just see our scalp. I happen to put my part here. Some people put their part on the side. I like it here so that I can um, pull it back. I like a really minimalist style. Every now and then I'll roll my hair up or whatever, something funky, but I just like to put my time towards play or towards the garden. So I did, as I explained in some of my other videos, implement another really good quality natural shampoo. But because I don't put anything in my hair, I find that I don't have to use it often. And I find myself going right back to what I've been doing for years, which is using things from the garden. Like I have what I call my little aloe farm here in the garden, which you can do, by the way, if you're in an apartment, in pots. And I have quite a few. I have fresh oregano. I've ventured into using basil and other herbs. I have lots of nopales, which are a type of cactus, which have a mucilage in it. And those things I find, hey, greetings. I find that those things can be very soothing to the scalp. They're not putting any dangerous chemicals that can go right through your pores to your brain, right? We know lots of medical treatments go right through the skin, like cigarette patches, heart medication patches go through the skin. So I know my health is a priority. I'd even like to say that my health is my #1 beauty product. So I don't have a desire to put any kind of chemicals that are going to go through here to my precious brain. So incorporating nopales, which is a type of cactus plant. If you're in the city, you can get it from usually a Mexican grocer, right? And you'll scrape the outside of, perhaps I'll put a picture of it in the community section, right, of the nopales that I pulled from my yard. So you can scrape off the little bumpy parts of the leaf, which, by the way, if you were to put it into the ground, it would sprout another plant, right? You can scrape it, and then you can either grate it or you can blend it very lightly in the food processor or blender so you don't destroy the mucilage, and strain it and use it as a conditioner, right? You can also feel free. I've used all types of citrus. I've used cucumber. I even have a cucumber and rosemary spritz that I'll use for my hair and my face. I do put food on my face and my body. Actually, that saved me a lot of money off of products, right? But those are the type of things that I'm using on my hair and skin, and I found that it's very agreeable. My body temple responds to movement, and it responds to whole, fresh, unprocessed foods. So I find myself always intuitively looking around also at the things in my yard, because I also have this thing about the women that have on the planet that have this unique beauty stamp, that it would make sense that we profit off of the things that we use to beautify ourselves and to implement self-care. And as I travel around the world and I see young girls and women sometimes struggling economically, it would just make sense, I think, being that we're always going to get our hair done, that this would be a great way for us to secure ourselves economically. Good morning, 18 months semi-freeform. Uh-oh, let me see if I can see your 18 months semi-freeform. That's great. Last 8 months, new growth come in, fine. Any suggestions? So if you have new growth, here's what I would say. Don't twist it. And I think there's some ways that we can make it look groomed, because I have a sense of style and fashion, but also even as a minimalist, I don't want to do too much work because I have other things to do. So if you have filtered water, or if you take maybe one endeavor on the cucumber, rosemary, thyme rinse, or even rose water, or even after you wash it, because I just washed it, after you massage it, because again, I have fine hair. I've tried with a little baby brush brushing it, but I find like anything that you do over time when you have very delicate hair is going to affect it. So while it's moist, here's my brushing. I will smooth it down, and I will tie it down with a scarf, so it looks more like a smooth afro, right? So all the little pieces, right? Because my hair does grow away from the lock per se, or a lot of it, or some of it does, right? So if you want to look of it looking so-called neat, when it's wet, I just smooth it down and I tie a scarf to it. And so I don't have to put all of those different styling gels. I would say also what I call radical self-acceptance. I think when it comes to food, movement, our hair, our unique beauty marks, maturing, I found a lot of beauty is in radical self-acceptance is confidence. So I've had to retrain my eye, for example, right? And a lot of that is mental. Being okay. And I talk about a mirror meditation, just staring into your own face sometimes quietly and looking at, listening to the dialogue that comes up, right? Let's say with the eyebrows, right? You know, as women, we can tweeze our eyebrows till they don't grow back anymore. Then we got to go get tattoos. So it's like we do one thing and another thing, another thing. And sometimes I think it can even lead to us driving ourselves crazy, you know, or even depression because we don't feel like we're good enough and we keep trying to alter ourselves when we get bored. Greetings, greetings. So, I do what I call a mirror meditation. And so what I do is I stare at myself and I find, take it however you will. You let me know if you try it, what kind of feedback. The longer I do it, the more I start to smile at myself in acceptance. First, I listen to the dialogue. I'm doing this for a while that comes up, right? If I have a dialogue of judging my eyebrows or my skin, or, you know, for me, when I had a whole lot of acne, allowing myself to see myself, because in the thoughts, if you listen to the thoughts, what are people going to think about me, what do you think about you? And then also I comfort myself with knowing I do the very best that I can consistently, right? I have a commitment to myself to eat healthy and to move, so that is my beauty product. So I accept me, so I don't have, you know, I've kind of put into perspective this need for other people in quote unquote intimate relationships or just attention for other people to accept me. I accept and I like me. So the body's going to change just like our breasts change for women out there. If we've breastfed, we get injuries, we get scars. My skin scars very easily. I've had lots of acne scars. Every now and then I'll get a blemish still. But I have enough faith knowing that my body has the capacity to heal itself. So I think perhaps, and again, don't follow me. You can try things on for size, whatever resonates, and whatever doesn't fit, leave it, right? So, but this radical self-acceptance, like, do you accept what you have and what you've got? When I've done a lot of YouTube videos before, or even hairstyles, I waited for years to get certain cornrow hairstyles. I waited for years for this expensive cornrow hairstyle. When I finally got it, it didn't look the same on my hair, and within 2 days or something, my scalp started itching. And this was with a very professional, clean, master hair braider. But it just did not work for my scalp. So that's when I embraced double strand twists. So my hair isn't very dense. This is what it does. This is the color, which sometimes can look a little sandy, you know. So I just have this thing of accepting what I have and looking to find things that complement my active lifestyle, right? For example, this hair does not get in the way of swimming, playing, sweating. Hairstyles, I've taken little, what do you call it, rhinestone things, you know, every now and then a flower or something, but things that complement what I have, right? I've also gone long periods but I didn't put any earrings or jewelry on. You don't have to do that. But it was just sitting with myself, and it was really interesting to see the thoughts that came up of, oh my gosh, like I'm naked, I don't look good. You know, initially when I tried to, I had to put the earrings back on. But I was just very curious about, wow, that didn't feel right. I don't, even though I'm natural, even taking off earrings, I felt naked or like I wasn't attractive. So I've paid lots of attention to the internal dialogue, because if there's an internal dialogue of insecurity, that's going to send us spending a boatload of money on things to make changes to ourselves superficially, right? We're never getting to the root, right? That same that same pattern I've noticed as someone that's worked in a holistic health center. I notice it in binge purge mentality with people sometimes want to get a whole bunch of colonics. I used to get a bunch of colonics back in the day, and enemas, and do fast, but never really change the mindset. Go back to the same mental mindset when it comes to consumption. So the quieter we are, if we could kind of we might even start to notice that there are certain kinds of fears, not only insecurities, and fears, just raw fears. And I invite you to look up the 6 basic human fears. There's certain fears that almost cause like a mental irritation and a mental pain. And to sit with it, it takes a while. You might notice that you can catch yourself or become very aware of the internal dialogue that is driving our eating patterns, that drives us perhaps and motivates us to eat mindlessly, to not be present while we're eating much more than we need, even if it's healthy. You know, these become nervous ticks and habits. Start at 113 LOCS, have allowed 157 in my head to combine for strength. Yeah, it's interesting. So, intuitively, I don't feel like, well, I haven't twisted these. So sometimes I would even think that it seems like, I know there's always growing, but it would seem like it grows slowly. I can't even believe that it's this length. I only got 40 locks. And it's not like I got big Congo Nati dreads. These are already combined. So I've embraced what it's going to look like. So these are combining. They combine very, very quickly. So I think that's the benefit of this fine hair. But just accepting what you see in the mirror, and kind of flowing with what you have. This is what I have. So I've just found ways to make it work for me, and a lifestyle that is grounded in validating, giving myself the validation that I seek, or that I have sought from others, accepting. You know, if I could tell my 20, 30-year-old self, 40-year-old self, and up into the next bracket, even with doing all the self-care, things happen. You could still get sick. Your breast shape changes. You might get a stretch mark or stretch marks or veins. Can you still really love and accept yourself? I think that's an air of confidence that's extremely attractive when you over here. The I said the garden, even if it's a little garden, has so many lessons in it, because you can watch some of the leaves rot and turn over, and it can go into fertilizer, and then you watch the new ones come up and how they respond to water, nurturing, weeding. It's the same. It's the same thing with ourselves. So it's therapeutic. It can be therapeutic to really sit with yourself, right? It always doesn't have to be external, though external is something that can tangibly make you feel good. So I love oiling myself. Like, I got a whole regimen and a routine around dry brush massage, oiling my skin. I mean, there have been times where I lived in more of a bush area where I didn't put anything on my skin, and because there was no chlorine in the water, literally, I mean, when I say nothing, there was nothing on my skin, and my skin never felt better. So when I go and I'm in the States, I noticed on a recent visit to the States, my skin felt dry. I have never felt my skin that dry. Also, I'm in a tropical environment. So whichever environment I'm in, I'm always going to do something to really soothe myself. In a bush type area, I used to go to a creek for a creek bath and listen to the sounds of nature. At home, I've always done Epsom salt baths or essential oils, or even just warm baths, which I recommend. If you don't feel good, I'd rather take a couple of baths and take medication, and get myself pay some more for some really beautiful fruit and things to soothe myself, so that when the irritation wears down, I haven't left what I call waste on my waistline. Which, even though we think it makes us feel better in the long term, it doesn't really make us feel better, because we're almost cementing all these emotions onto our midsection. So washing is definitely therapeutic for me, and being that I do like to immerse myself in warm water, even if it's natural shampoo, you can't overwash the hair. So continuing now, picking up more, because I haven't put that much time in it, which is good when it's I don't have to focus on my hair so much, with using the different things in my garden to cleanse my hair, scalp. So I'm not. So it makes me feel like I'm not beautiful now. Slowly looking at myself, diet and passion. Feel more good. That beauty, is a mentality. Beauty is a mentality. And if we think about it, isn't everyone beautiful in our most? When we're healthy, everyone is beautiful. When you have a pleasant attitude and narrative, it's not that other things are not happening. Life is not happening. Pandemic and relationships. It's not that we don't have challenges, but a beautiful perspective is something that you can cultivate. And I would say your personal movement practice, right? And practices of actually oiling, taking your time to oil and massage your skin. I may make a video, so I would have to see how to do it. I may put it on the website on breast massage, body massage, and stomach massage. So that is a practice I do pretty much daily that is so soothing. It's a way to check in with your body and make sure that you don't have any kinds of growths, and really to get to just kind of be very affectionate and appreciative of the body temple that you have. And if you're doing all of these things on a regular basis, these are things that can really make you feel good. Sometimes I feel like we're just sitting and waiting for somebody to ask you to dance, and before you know it, they turn on the light and the party's over. I've learned to get on the dance floor by myself, to go places by myself. And definitely when it comes to validation, to give it to myself first, unapologetically, you know. And it feels really, really good. So back to the hair. If your hair is very delicate, you may not want to strip it. I'm in the sun and the garden all the time. Those do have an effect on your hair. You can wear a sun hat if you like. But the light fluffiness of it is great. And then also when I'm using the different things from the garden, you do want to make sure that you strain them really well. So something that I use is what I call my plant milk bag. So I've used all different types of bags over the years, from the health food store to store herbs and vegetables, but also when I'm making plant milks, what I call plant milks from nuts and seeds, or if I'm making quote unquote cheese from home without any preservatives or junk in it, right? Because I like to eat food that doesn't leave waste on my waist, and foods that are beautifying but still delicious. So I use what's called a plant milk bag, and it's a very, very sturdy material, which is great. So when you're squeezing your nut and seed milks through, you leave the pulp behind, but also let's say for example, if you use cheesecloth, the holes may be so big that the pulp from the nuts or the seeds is spilling out of the side. So what I found with the plant milk bag is so sturdy, right? I use it over and over and over for all different types of things, certain herbs. If I'm doing sorrel and ginger or nut and seed and plant milks, I get a nice smooth texture, right? And then also when I'm making things for my hair, I don't have the sediment from the different plants, because I've done that too back in the day, where I've made, let's say, aloe or different herbs, and it has to be strained really, really fine so you don't leave, your scalp will be feeling good, but you don't want to leave the residue from the plants or the plant pulp in your hair, because when it dries, it's going to look like dandruff, right? So it's really good to have something that strains things really well. And I like things that last a long time. So I took the liberty of making some. Somebody has sent me a message and I sent them one. So if you're interested in getting a plant milk bag, just made a small little page or offering on Etsy. I think somebody just bought the last one, so I have to go and update it. But I did make a few of them for people that were asking me about what am I using for to strain off the pieces of herbs, or for my nut and seed milks. I'm using what I call a plant milk bag, but it's not. The holes are much, much finer than what you would find in cheesecloth. So yeah, these, you might even get an extra one and even put some herbs like chamomile or lavender, and put the tea and put it into your bath water. So I love fruits and vegetables on my face, hair, and skin, and fresh herbs. And so that's a benefit also of having a nice little garden. Even if it's a windowsill garden, you can pull it. It just feels really good to pull things from your own garden, right? And they're living and you've nurtured them. That's the whole energy, and use them as a way to nurture yourself. So I just wanted to come in and just check in with you. Again, you have the option of using the nopales, the aloe, um, the oregano. I'm using basils now. The thyme, we're growing more thyme. I've used all kinds of different juices in my on my own hair, because you're experimenting ultimately on yourself. And I found that my scalp feels great, and I don't have residue. I don't have any dandruff, and it's just a whole energy of self-care and therapy. And the soul snack, because I don't eat much. Is that your name? That's an interesting name. So I'm sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. Again, if you find any value, feel free to subscribe. to the channel. If you have questions or if you wanted to communicate personally, feel free to go on over to bodyculinary.com. There are a few downloadable books that are there. Whole Living Foods in the Hood, with menus to fit your budget. It's not so much a recipe book, but it's a shortcut kind of, it can shorten your learning curve into the mindset. Many people may be curious as to, as somebody who was a former junk food junkie, how was I able to, or how am I able to consume whole, fresh, living, unprocessed plant foods? Again, don't follow me if that's something that you're interested in trying on massage. You're welcome to do that. I've been doing that for some years. If I felt something else would benefit me in my health, that's what I would do. Hate to do we search on Etsy for the nut milk bag. I believe if you just put Body-Culinary on Etsy, you can find the plant milk bag. So actually, when I get off, I'll double check, but it should be there because somebody just ordered one. So what else is there? Whole Living Foods in the Hood. That's all that's on the Etsy, I think, is maybe the bicycle seat covers. I have this thing of sharing anything that I find is valuable and that I enjoy, then I'll just share it. So like my little African print bicycle seat covers, because I love to ride the, if it's not there, I'll take a look. They might be sold out, and I'll send you the link. But bicycle seat covers. I have my garden apron that's denim on one side that doubles as a dance slopper, right? And also, so when I'm in the garden, I don't lose my my cell phone and my keys. But I could flip it over if I'm going from the garden to when I ride off to the other town to teach African dance. It's really convenient. So I love things that that I really enjoy in my lifestyle. Those are the types of things that I share. So there's also another little book that I did, if you're loose natural, called Natural Beauty No Products. So that was my journey of throwing out my shower caddy and using fruits and vegetables on my hair and my skin, which saved me a lot of money on Proactive and a whole lot of other chemicals. What else is over there? A couple little free things in terms of menus. And also in Whole Living Foods in the Hood, it doesn't focus so much on recipes, but I took pictures of what I've been doing. People ask what I've been doing for what kinds of foods I've been making. I've been making for my sister, my son, and myself, how I'm packing it, like all of what I've been doing for some years, and some sample ideas with pictures of if you had $5 to shop, $20 to shop, $100 to shop, or if you're shopping. Hey, greetings. Sounds like a Nyamache, one of my good friends named Nyamache from back in the day. But pictures like when I would go to the wholesaler of what actually I'm shopping for. So I find it's an art. I call it the ways of the grandmothers. I just got my own little term, the ways of the grandmothers. Working with whole, fresh, unprocessed plants. Some of us, if you weren't in the kitchen with your mother or auntie, some of us may not know what to do with, hey, greetings, Tamiko, may not know what to do with the lentils or how many things we can do with fresh, unprocessed lentils. Like if I'm buying everything unprocessed, which is what I do, maybe sometimes I'll buy organic cider vinegar. What do you do with all this unprocessed food, right? What kinds of different, greetings, Belmont? What kinds of different things can you do? Well, I'll tell you this. When you're working with whole, fresh, unprocessed foods, your food bill will go down, but the weight of your bags will go up, right? Because you have all of this water content and all of this fiber. So it is a trade-off. I know we're in a time where people press for time and convenience, but something to consider is what we're getting in the convenience. There's some things that we're not getting. So I like to say the food is talking to you. And what I mean by that is this. When you're handling your own food, you get to see how the food behaves. Real, whole, fresh plant foods don't behave the same as something on the shelf. So even though, I have a dehydrator, I got rid of it and I got another one to make foods for clients, and I'm always experimenting. Of course, we don't want to cook all the life force out of the foods, because that's how the food is medicine, right? The packages have pictures of on the outside of fruits and vegetables, but that's usually not what we're getting when we open up the package, right? If most of your shopping cart is full of boxes and stuff, not to make these things wrong, right? But just to click on, our critical thinking and discernment when it comes to eating let's say this. Let's just put aside vegan, paleo, vegetarian. Let's put the labels aside for just a moment and think. I invite you to perhaps try this on for size. Eating for beauty, right? Because you spend all this money on beauty products. Eating for longevity. Eating for vitality. Eating for your mood. Eating so your insides are not clogged up. So perhaps coming from that perspective, that can already guide our food choices, if that makes sense, right? Ultimately, you're 110% responsible for your own body. And I've done all kinds of experimentation on my body for over 3 decades. But I was willing to do that because I know the obesity and diabetes and heart disease would be waiting for me, because that's a good majority of the women in my family, cancer, stomach surgeries, and definitely growing up seeing most of the women in church, I saw rampant obesity. I did not know the word for obesity, and I also like to eat. So that's what drove me to become very creative with food, and that drove a lot of my education over the years. But back to the food, it behaves differently. So quite often when working with folks and clients over the years, I could tell that people are not preparing their own food because it's basic information you would get. For example, if I'm working with a whole bunch of avocado, it's not greasy, right? My granddad grew callaloo in his garden, and it was way better than the shelf, so happy to eat in his food. Always made people happy. I know that's right. We got some callaloo coming up over here in the garden. Also, growing a garden, nurturing some kind of plants, even if you don't have a big space. So I'll give you a gem, right? And by the way, starting to put more content onto the website. It's not, it hasn't been accessible to folks that are not members of the site. But some of the content, it's a lot of content here. A lot of that is going to be moved over to bodyculinary.com. A lot of meditations and the meditations not in the religious sense, but more in the sense of exploring our relationship with food and our consumption patterns. Consumption is not just food. Anything that's going to any of our orifices is food. But a lot of content I'm going to be parking over there, but I do make it available first to folks on this channel. Hopefully it can inspire someone. So the avocado, great. Anything with gluten doesn't agree with me. And dairy products right now, I only eat oat milk. Interesting you say that. I used to make milk. I can make milk out of anything. I've made milk out of oats, rice, soy. I used to make my tofu from scratch. This has been years of me playing in the kitchen. But when you're making the food yourself, you'll see like the avocado is not greasy, right? Even though we think of oil as a health food product. And interestingly, I have 2 grinders here. I don't know, for some reason I'm attracted to these tools. I need to see how the food, it grows out of the ground. I want to see it as a whole food with its living water intact, and I want to see how it behaves. So when I just made some tahini, right, in a grinder, I made some raw peanut butter. I got it right from the farmers here in Central America. And I made tahini, I made nut butter, and I was grinding something else. I can see the food behaves differently, right? And right now, if you go to the store, I know I've spent $32 on a jar of raw tahini. I'm like, and my sister drinks, my family drinks tahini. But I saw that, it didn't taste toasted, but there's such oil content. When I'm making it fresh, there's a difference between a hulled and an unhulled sesame seeds. I find it's not all the oil content. So I can just see the food behaves differently, right? If people try to tell me about coconuts, I eat coconuts every which way to Sunday. Baby coconuts, green coconuts, gold coconuts, mature coconuts. So when somebody's trying to sell me something off of the shelf, I can tell that it's been processed because I constantly have my hands in the food. So if we're spending all this money on beauty products, would it make sense that we eat the beauty from the outside, right? We got all these patches and stuff that drip nutrition in through the skin, but wouldn't it make sense that we eat the good fats and the oils and stuff in its whole form, that we can still recognize it as food? So in any event, that's the journey that I've been on for like 3 decades plus, and that's a lot of what I share on this channel. And it's a lot of what I share with clients and those that are interested in not dieting, but finding a sweet spot, right? So your sweet spot may not necessarily be mine. Most of most of my clients were not vegan or vegetarian, but I can say for a fact, all of them started juicing and or blending and got a Vitamix, and their children and their spouses started using so much more fruits and vegetables, right? If you got more goodies and if you got more pleasure with the food you're eating and something to look forward to, it kind of becomes a no-brainer, right? And then it's more of a natural process of you trying things on for size and seeing how your body responds to more fruits and vegetables, seeing how your elimination responds and how your skin responds, right? And somebody used to be like, oh, I have a lot of acne. Now, if I get a blemish or something, I can relax and I know it's going to clear up on its own because the body, I'm not the healer. Your body divinely is set up to heal, to cleanse and build and release on its own. You just kind of assisted by getting out of the way and nourishing it with the most optimal fuel that's available to you on a consistent basis. So I think more people would do that with support. And then I like to have a lot of fun. So I find when having fun, children have also taught me that, then information just drips in almost like effortlessly. We don't have such of the resistance, right? If a smile is on your face when you're playing and having fun, it just occurs totally different. So anyway, I'm going to jump off of here because I'll be talking to y'all all day. I'm going to get some work done in the garden. I just want to invite you all to create a great day on purpose because you said so, right? We can, no matter what everybody else is doing, we can reframe our narrative in a way that works for us. So I will see you soon.